Welcome to the Dive Heart First podcast, where we explore the connection between the head and the heart and where science meets spirituality. I'm your host, Jenn Walker, and can I hypnotize you to do more exercise? The short answer is yes. And I might not. So 'tis the season, a new year, a new you. And I was recently at a party where a very good friend of mine asked me this exact question. So in hypnosis, what we are doing is we're getting the subconscious part of the mind on the same page with the conscious part of the mind. The conscious part of the mind is the part of the mind that comes up with that desire or interest to exercise more, where the subconscious part of the mind is the part of the mind that drives 95% of all our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our behaviors, and therefore our results. And the coolest thing about that subconscious part of our mind is that it runs automatically on autopilot 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's nothing you need to do. So it's the same part of the mind that has our heart beating and our lungs breathing. So in hypnosis, we speak directly to that subconscious part of the mind, and we can attach interest and appeal to things that are good to have done and possible to do. So things like exercise. We can also attach pleasure to doing what is good to have done and satisfaction of having it done. So yes, we can do this in hypnosis. And yet with this friend, as I was just talking to her and collecting a little bit more data, what she was saying is, and what I got from the conversation is that it was her husband that was really interested in her working out with him. And he works out late at night and has really full days and she's in bed by that time sleeping. And the husband offered to change his workout schedule to the morning. And she was saying, like, that's really nice of him, but I have really full days. I have to wake up so many early mornings, and the days that I can sleep in, I really want to sleep in. Also, this friend this last year has been really dialing in her health and her nutrition. She feels great. She looks great. She's banging. She knows she looks like she knows she's banging. We were telling her she looks like she's banging. And she was talking about, like, yes, I could work out more and I would get a little bit more definition in my muscles. But as she was talking about that, I could see that there wasn't much payoff. So the human brain is constantly moving away from pain and towards pleasure, and in that order. And for her, there was no pain. There's not like a health crisis or anything like that going on. And for her, the pleasure moving towards, it was so not non-existent, like it was just tiny. The payoff wasn't there. There wasn't anything there that was too compelling. Also, something that I know about this woman is her full lifestyle. So this friend of mine, she has 2 kids, she has 2 dogs, she has 2 horses, she has chickens, she has a cat, she has a household, she has land, a busy profession in nursing and education, a busy social life and family life, and somehow with all of that, she still happens to fit in coaching her daughter's sport team. So with that, one thing that I definitely know about her is not only is she meeting the daily recommendations for exercise, she is far exceeding them. And why I say that is there was a really interesting study that came out of Harvard a number of years ago where they looked and studied maids. And so they took 84 maids and they split them into 2 groups. One group they took aside and they said, hey, did you know that your day-to-day activities in your job counts as exercise? And did you know that the work that you just naturally do actually meets the daily recommendations for exercise in this nation? So that was one group. And the second group, they said nothing to. Then they sent them back, and the 2 groups worked as they normally would for 4 weeks. Then they followed up with both groups. The one group that was said nothing, and they just went back as business as usual, nothing happened. nothing changed. And then the group that they just took aside before the 4 weeks and said, listen, do you know that everything you do in your days counts as exercise? What they found absolutely was astonishing. So after 4 weeks, the average weight loss of that group was 2 pounds per person in 4 weeks. They also noticed a reduction in the body fat percentage of everyone, reduction in waist to hip ratio, and an improved blood pressure. And the coolest thing about that is that nothing changed. Nothing in their day-to-day schedule, routines, exercise changed. The only thing that changed was their realization and recognizing that what they were already doing was exercise. And so the one thing that I know about this friend is that her life is full of exercise. And not only does she meet the daily recommendations for exercise, she far, far, far exceeds them. So when I was listening to her, I didn't hear a problem of not being able to exercise. I actually heard an issue or a challenge of not recognizing or realizing that she was already doing enough. So this podcast is for her. I'm going to ship this right off to her for her to listen. It was a quick conversation. So typically in a session with a person, I'm asking a lot more questions to tease out what is really at the heart of everything. With her, I have made a lot of assumptions, deductions. So I'm going to ship this podcast off to her and get her feedback. Whatever her feedback is, and if there's something to expand upon on this podcast, I'm going to do so. I'm going to do so over in the Dive Heart First podcast Facebook group. So if you haven't joined that already, I'll put a link again in the show notes for that. And in this podcast might be for you. If you have been listening to this and you're noticing connections on things, maybe you're beating yourself up for something that you haven't been doing, or you've been shooting all over yourself about something, you might have noticed that this has just lightened that, or that just instantly got let go. And or you might be interested in getting in with me and doing a one-on-one session on something more specific and unique to you. So if you are interested in doing that, that is my day job. And I will put a link below. I have these one-off sessions called Rapid Mind Reset sessions, where we do just that. So we clear out anything that is no longer serving you, while also attaching that interest and appeal to things that are good to have done and possible to do. So that is it for today. Until next time, thank you so much for spending a part of your day with me. I love you, and go out and have an absolutely tremendous day.